Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, lovely people, depending on where you're watching us from in this beautiful world. And today I'm super excited to have Donna with me. Donna is a lady I came across on the wonderful platform Hot Match, and she invited me to speak on her podcast. And when I read through who she is and what she does, I'm like, I have to have you on my podcast. So I'm so happy to have you here today. Can you please do us a favor and introduce yourself to our audience? Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for that good introduction. I appreciate it. Hi, everybody. I'm Donna Jean Kendrick, and I'm born and raised in Philadelphia, PA, and coming to you from the US right now. So welcome. Thank you for being or having me here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah, we're all the way from Philadelphia, so it's evening for you already. And Donna, you just shared a little story with me, and I'm gonna share this little snippet. You lived in
Sure.
Italy. For how long have you lived there?
So we lived in Italy. My late husband was part of Homeland Security here in the US.
Mm.
So he was actually an employee at the US Embassy there. So we
Hmm.
went over there with two kids, spent a year, came back, then went back with three kids, spent about 5 years, and then went
Oh
back to
my
the
goodness,
States in 2011, I think it was. But it was pretty good. I can understand some good gossip in Italian, but
it's
my
amazing.
I can only speak in present tense. So.
That as long as you get by, that's absolutely fine. And whereabouts did you stay in Italy?
We were in Rome.
Oh, amazing. I love, love, love Rome. It's one of my favorite
Yeah.
cities. And here's my little secret. If I wouldn't have moved to Sydney, it would have been Rome. Rome was number two on my list. I love it.
There you go. It was different. And I always say it gave my kids the bug, right? I can see them. I can
Yeah,
see
that
they're
travel
not
bug.
going to be US stateside all
Yeah.
the time. There's no
Mm,
holding them down. So
amazing. Oh my God. Donna, you've already given it away in one little word, your late husband. Can
mm.
you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, pretty much we'll pick off at Italy, right? So gave up
Mm.
my career to follow my husband abroad. We came back stateside in 2011. Yeah, I wound up speaking or teaching Italian to or English to Italian kids. So
Hmm.
they all have Philadelphia accents. They say
I
water.
love it.
And they're going places. Yeah, they eat pork roll. It's bad. But came back stateside 2011 and moved back to the Philadelphia area. It was almost like a military life. We moved very
Mm.
often.
Yeah.
And then in 2013, moved back to the Philadelphia area. And I was so thrilled because we hadn't been close to family in about 7 years. So it
Mm.
was like a win-win. His family and mine, we were both from Philadelphia. It was great.
Nice.
And about 2 to 3 months after moved back to the Philadelphia area, he took his own life. And my kids were 8, 11, and 12. And I was like, oh boy, like here I
Mm.
am, just moved into this new house, not
Yeah.
making any income, working part-time because I'd given up my career. We just had gotten back stateside. And now what
Yeah.
do you do? And that's the
Yeah.
crust of it. It was that moment of, oh God, now what?
Yeah.
So,
It's exactly that, that question that I've heard thousands of times working in that space. What now? That's always the
yeah.
number one question. Um, First of all, I want to say my heart goes out to you. That is just such an intense story, knowing, how you were all looking forward to coming back home, being
Yeah.
reconnected with family, and then that. I also know that, especially with the topic of suicide, it
Mhm.
is very easy for a lot of people to ask highly inappropriate and way too personal questions, which I'm not
Mhm.
planning to. But what I would love to do is to actually talk about these questions. I'd really love to really hand this over to you because I have been seeing so many. Did you see this coming? How did you do it? I find these questions very horrible and not appropriate. And obviously, I am not asking you these questions, but I would like to talk to you about these questions. How can people, when they are bombarded with inappropriate questions, way too personal questions, set the boundaries, protect themselves, and do that in a time where they feel at their most vulnerable? Is there a way that you can maybe share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, actually, my kids and I participated in this program called Safe Harbor right after my husband passed, and it was peer support group.
Hmm.
So nope, they weren't giving us any like exercises or things to do or solutions. It was literally sitting next to other. We had lost specific peer support groups, so I was sitting with
Hmm.
other widows and widowers had also lost their partners the same way, and the kids
Hmm.
were also sitting with other kids that had lost them the
Hmm.
same way. And a lot of what that did, and with the facilitators, was teach teach us how to answer those questions so that
Oh,
you really do have in your back pocket some real go-tos, right?
hmm.
Like, I think we just shared too, when you're speaking a
Yeah,
different language, all of a sudden it just becomes common, right? Like, you know
yeah,
your phrases to go to.
yeah,
Well, that's almost what it was there, right? And
yeah,
sometimes it's just polite excuses. Like, I really appreciate your concern. I know it's coming from a loving space, but right now my kids are in the room. So maybe we could find a different
mm,
time to talk about this. Most likely
yeah,
that person will never come back around to talk to you again,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And many times too, my kids would even say, "Well, my dad died from an illness, just like everybody else. You might have heard
Hmm.
something different, but it was mental
Hmm.
illness." And they
Yeah,
walked away. They're not going to
yeah,
answer the specific how'd he do
yeah,
it, right? They're
yeah.
not going to go there with them. And if they wanted to, okay, right? But it
Yeah.
wasn't appropriate. My little guy was 8.
Oh my God.
And I
Yeah.
think a big part of it too is as adults, and I'll say this for raising children with that
Mm,
topic,
mm,
is really insulating them by reaching out to the adults that influence their lives, the
hmm,
coaches. You're going to go
hmm.
and you're going to see baseball's big here in the States. You're going to go to
Yeah.
the baseball coaches and tell
Hmm.
them answer their questions. This is what happened. His dad took his life.
Yeah.
If you need to add details, you do. But this
Yeah.
one's very, very sensitive too.
Hmm.
Your dad's here to pick you up. Everyone go to your parents, like those types of
Yeah.
things. So they're
Yeah.
aware. And the extra layer of love that a lot of people then support when you've been a little bit vulnerable with the story ahead of time when they didn't have to ask is
Mm.
amazing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that what you shared about the support group. It sounds really terrific. And I'm I'm going to make sure that we put a link to that in the show notes as well. If there's a link that we
Yeah.
can share, that would be really
Sure.
fantastic. If people are in that
Yeah.
situation, that they might want to, yeah, check it out for them as well. I feel there can't be enough support around the language that we use. I'm
Mhm.
always a big supporter about we need to change the language that we use around grief in general. And I also feel, in particular, with even more sensitive topic like suicide, because children, in particular, very specifically, do not have a language around that at all. And there's so much stigma around that. And there's also shame attached to that specific topic. And children don't know how to handle that, how to address that, how to draw boundaries around them. And what you just said, your dad's here to pick you up. For me, my awareness always heightens around Father's Day because your personal milestones are so different. Nobody knows about them. But Father's
Mhm.
Day, the half the world celebrates it, and the other half celebrates it on another day. Because I know you've probably got a different day to ours, but there's this no escape sort of couple of
Yeah.
weeks that happen because you see it everywhere in the supermarkets, on the displays, all the ads, everything's targeted around Father's Day, and the kids are old enough these days. My kids are old enough these days to see it on social media as well. So can you share a bit from your personal experience? How do you treat those days? How you deal with milestones, the passing anniversary, birthdays, Father's Day, Christmas?
Mhm.
How is that celebrated or dealt with in your life, in your family?
Yeah. I'm gonna, okay, sarcasm is very big in my family, right? And so I'm going to share this because it does, in a way, it lightens things a bit. So this is how
Mm,
my family, my children, and I celebrate the anniversary of my husband's passing. We
mhm,
find one thing that we love to do that my dear husband Gregory didn't love to do. For
mhm.
example, he did not like eating at a restaurant where you all had to sit on the floor and the food goes around on a table, right? And
Yeah,
like so many of like an Ethiopian restaurant, like so you get the naan, I think it is, and then you can go ahead and
mhm.
scoop. That was not his thing. Didn't
I
like
love
that.
it.
So we go in
Yeah.
honor of him because he doesn't have to do it anymore. Right? Like what a
I
funny
love
way
that. I
to
have never
approach
heard
it.
that before. Yes.
Yeah. And so there's a list of like things dad doesn't have to do with us, right? And that's
Yeah.
what we'll try to go do on the anniversary of his passing.
Yeah.
Um, I find sometimes too, because for us, it's been about 12 years, right? But
Mm,
we've navigated this for quite a while. My young child was 8 when he passed, and well, now he's a young man himself, right? Like that
yeah.
happens quick. When we
Yes.
were in the earlier years, I found it harder sometimes for the extended family and close friends that really hadn't, I'll say, deal with the grief, or maybe
Hmm.
it's because they were so far removed from where we were that grief was almost an everyday. Not saying that theirs
Hmm.
was less or more, but we
Yeah.
actively went to safe harbor. We actively talked about it. It was our active in our face every day. So
Hmm.
on those birthday anniversaries of my late husband, it was sometimes hard to receive love from the people around us because we had gotten to a different part of acceptance and they would
Yeah.
still be in tears or they would still be
Oh,
upset. And so
yes.
we had to find a way to console them versus
Mm.
us. And that was actually a gift that after about the
Yeah.
second year, we had a really good skill set at doing. Like, okay, we
Mm.
know Ann still hasn't digested it, right? Maybe we'll go have tea with her the weekend before. Satisfy that need for her to see that we're all okay. So a
Yeah.
lot of it is preemptive work. It is.
That is incredible. I really love this. That approach is so very different to anything I've ever heard before, and I really, really like that because that um, what you just shared, people um, digesting it at a different speed to you,
Mhm.
really. I've noticed that a lot in our family, and my youngest was 8 when Rob suddenly passed. So that, they were 10 and 8. And that is such a state where nobody expects to lose their dad at such an age. And that was, as a parent, I feel, I don't know how you felt in this, it was even harder for me to watch them go through that than dealing with my own. I felt I had a different set of tools, tools, um,
Sure.
to work through it because I've worked through grief when my dad passed when I was 20, and then I worked in a space of mindset coaching for like 7 years before Rob died. So I
Mm.
had a lot of experience and tools available. And of course, it's very different when your own husband passes so
Sure.
unexpectedly. But I was better prepared. But then
Mhm.
watching them to go through that was really heartbreaking. In terms of your family, you said before that you had just come back like 2 months prior. Was that a blessing in disguise? I often talk about the hidden gifts in adversity when we talk about
Yeah.
adversity, and I feel they're always hidden gifts. Can we talk a little bit
Yeah.
about these in your life? Where did you see them happening, if you
Yeah,
want to share?
100%. 12 years, you nailed it. Like 12 years later, I'm like, oh, I cannot imagine going through all of this and not being in the safety of my own family and of
Yeah.
Greg's family. And
Mm.
if we think about that, that 8-year-old who, for a majority of his life, lived abroad, and so would only see that side of the family if they came to visit, right, to go see Rome and sightsee, right? So I swear
Yeah.
the poor little boy saw half of his family strapped into either a backpack on me or a stroller, right? That's his only
Yeah.
experience with this family. But then he comes
Mm.
back stateside at 8 years old, and we move into an area that they're either 10 minutes away or a half hour away, which was much different. So even
Yeah.
though he lost his dad, here comes this extra layer of love. Here comes all these uncles, right, who are now volunteering to be coaches on his team, like that
Wow.
he never would have had if we lived abroad. And they
Yeah.
weren't used, my kids were not used to having family nearby. So all of
Mm.
a sudden, this time and these voids and these life experiences were all brand new. Not
Mm.
bad, just
Yeah.
all brand new. And I
Yeah.
think it really up-leveled the adults around us too. Like we all
Yeah.
carry on in our lives. They were so happy we were back home, kind of picking up where we had left off all those years before.
Mm.
Oh, but now it has a different layer to it. That
Yeah.
was brilliant. It was brilliant. Now, I'll also say to all the listeners out there who have had extended family close by while dealing with grief, sometimes it's hard, right? I was severely independent, I'll say it that way, but I was proud of how independent I was. I had
Mm.
navigated another culture, raised my kids there, navigated different languages,
Mm.
and now here's a lot of people trying to give them layers of support, and I was resistant, say it
Mm-hmm.
that way. Really happy that I had all of the
Mm.
community around me, but a little resistant for everyone's all of a sudden quick interest in my life. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? So,
I can relate so much. I'm having goosebumps listening to this. I would like to share something because I would like to unpack that with you a little bit, what you just said. I'd
sure.
really love to hear your opinion because I can see your opinion is so different to what I'm used to hearing about, and I just really love it. I I told you before, I was born and bred in Austria, and I came here in my very early 30s. And so I was fiercely independent. I moved to another culture, different language, although I was fluent in English already, but being fluent in English and using it in your day-to-day life, very different story. So, what you said about the support and allowing support in or not, or drawing the line, not being as, open to receiving that in your life, that is a really big thing for me. And that's what I would like to unpack with you here. I have noticed there are two things that come into all of that. The one thing is what we just mentioned, the fierce independence that both of us obviously had, different countries, different cultures, etc. And the other thing is, I felt if I was to allow support in, and then the next day or the next week or the next month, I need that again, and people are not available, it was almost like another tiny little additional loss. The
Mhm.
rejection, the feeling that nobody's there for you to help you with that. And now you have to do it alone anyway. So I almost I went into this mindset of it's almost easier if I just do it on my own and not even allow anybody in. I was almost scared letting go of that independence, because if I allow help in, then it might throw me off balance if you're not there for me next time. And who am I to expect that you have to be there? It's not my right to expect that. It's different when it's your husband. You expect that. It's family support. You love each other, and that's what you do. But from people outside, it's nice when they do that, but you can't expect that it's always there. How was your perspective on that? Did you experience that as well, or is it different for you?
No, I mean, I think you explained it very well. I mean, even in my own business, right? And I think we have talked about bringing on staff, right? Like you have to take
Yeah.
the time, you have to train them, but what if they
Mm-hmm.
leave? Then,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, like you've either forgotten how to do it on your own, or now you have to train somebody else to do it. And
Yeah.
that was a lot of it because you have to think my husband had taken his life. So my trust factor in anyone else being there for me when the closest
Mm.
person to me had left was really low. Like
Yeah.
anyone could just decide to opt out of that role in my life. I wasn't going to put too much into anything,
Mm.
but I was exhausting
Wow.
myself and I needed to lean in, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
until, you have the year of the first and here comes year two, and I've heard so many people talk about what's worse, year one, year two, like you can't compare.
Mm-hmm.
In year two, I decided that I needed to let more people in. And don't get me wrong, I
Yeah.
leaned into community, right? And made some of my favorite friends in that whole first year, right? People who helped me carpool. But I didn't realize I needed to let everyone in until year
Mm.
two when my cup was empty. It was. So,
That
yeah.
is so interesting. Thank you so much for sharing this so openly. And speaking about which, I think that's a perfect segue into something that is usually rather a taboo topic, yet it is your expertise, and that's finances.
Sure.
So, with loss or sudden loss, there is always that topic of finances that knocks on the door. Were you prepared? Were you not? Was there life insurance? Was there not? How do you cope all of a sudden having just one income, or having to go back to work because you weren't working, or you left your career for your husband, etc.? There's so many different things. And I have noticed that there is hardly any gray zone. It can almost be parted in you did or you didn't have a life insurance.
Mhm.
And this is my knowledge about there's more detail, but I know that this is your expertise, so I'm going to let you talk about this. How was your situation? How did you get through it, and how do you help people now? Because this is the amazing story that we really want to get to.
Oh, thank you. So for me, I was very lucky. I did handle most of the finances in the house. That
Mm,
was my background. And
mm,
we had a financial advisor before we moved over to Italy to help us with
mhm.
investments. As a
Amazing.
young couple with three little kids,
Hmm.
having an opportunity to either invest or save while we were
Hmm.
abroad, knowing we need
Yeah.
someone stateside to be helping us. So it
Hmm.
was the recommendations of that financial advisor that had the life insurance in place.
Hmm.
So when Greg passed, I knew I could keep my house and educate my kids. A big one, big
Yeah.
checkbox in my head.
Yeah.
And I was lucky for it. So
Mm,
after about 2 years, I knew from my financial advisor that I had to go back to work and I had to make X amount of dollars because Greg's
Hmm.
salary had gone. Life insurance only lasts for so long.
Yeah.
Here you go. This is how
Yeah.
much you have to make. So the goal was set, and I was passionate about, oh, I'm gonna cry,
Okay.
not letting this death of my husband go unnoticed and not letting it
Yeah.
not become a mission. So when I really sat and said, all right, out of all these 2 years of widowhood, right? I'm now accepting help. It's 2 years later. I'm calm, growing up, I have my big girl panties on. What was most impactful to me as a widow? And it really
Hmm.
was knowing the answer financially to, am I going to be okay? Okay can be
Yeah.
defined all different ways. Was I
Yeah.
going to be okay for what I needed for my kids and for me? And the answer of, can I educate them? Can I keep my house? Yes, I could.
Hmm.
And so I went to my financial advisor and was like, hey, what you did for me, I want to do for other men and women in widowhood. How do you do it?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
literally went to the trainings, went back to school, mentored under him, and then years later launched my own practice, which we just focus on financial planning for families in transition. So lucky to be able to do it. 2020 hit, and I saw so many people losing their loved ones without being able to land in the safe hands of a financial advisor that they could trust because we were all social distancing. So I wrote a book,
Yeah.
The Guide to Widowhood, Navigating Your Finances in the First 3 Years with Your Heart, Love, and Heart, Soul, and Finances in Place. Like, this is how we navigate these first years. And giving people to give permission to those answers of, does Uncle Bobby need to know how much I had in life insurance? No, he does not. Like I gave them a skill set of, you don't have to answer that, nor do you have to trust the person.
Hmm.
This is how the community who wants to help you can help. They can do those first interviews with financial advisors and you jump in there at the end. You don't have to spend your
Yeah.
time on all of this.
Yeah.
What decisions would have to be made now? What decisions can be put off? And what
Yeah.
decisions are way in the line, right? Like we don't
Mm.
have to know if I'm going to be able to retire at 70 when I'm 40 and I just lost my first husband, right?
Yeah.
That's a future Donna problem. We're going to get to it.
Hmm.
But right now, Donna needs to understand, can I pay my mortgage and when do I have to go back to work? And how long can I stay home mothering my kids at a part-time job? That was important to me. And
Mm.
those and how to find a connection with it. And that is just what I do every day now. And I love it. I said we put a little love back into financial planning, but it's really being able to hold the hand, to partner, and to educate many of my widows and widowers. And I'm not saying it's boys and girls or husbands or wives did not have the financial strength in the relationship. Either they didn't
Yeah.
earn it or it just wasn't their wheelhouse. They were really
Yeah.
great at other parts of the marriage. The other
Yeah.
spouse who passed made most of the financial decisions or logged in and paid all the taxes, and they need to learn, right? And so they need
Mm.
a partner to help them. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot begin to tell you how excited I am about what you just said. This is so incredible. And I have to say, I don't know what I would have done without my financial advisor and my accountant. They were such
Yeah.
an amazing team. And from my personal experience, after Rob died, I had a lawyer. Like so lucky that I had known her for a really long time, and interesting enough, she was one of my clients when I did more in business coaching, and then she looked after me when Rob passed away, which was incredible. And then I had my accountant. Then those two worked as a team together. Then the financial advisor came in, and literally between the three of them, they only got me involved when they needed a signature and explained to me why I'm signing this,
Yeah.
what I'm signing here, literally in a language that I could understand. And
Yeah.
I will be forever grateful for them. So I don't know what I would have done without the team. And I wish I would have known about your book back then. That would have
Yeah.
been super, super helpful. So we will definitely be sharing that book in the show notes as well, because I feel that a lot of people listening to this, I'm like, oh, I need to read this. I need to read this. So you'll see the link to that as well, and you'll see the link how to reach out to Donna. But this to me, and this is a word I love using in my own journey a lot, I see so much empowerment in your journey, like how you really stepped into back into this empowerment and went back to school, went back to training, and did that with such purpose. The intention behind all that is it's just so heartwarming. I love that.
Yeah, thank you. And isn't it nice to have your kids witness that? Like now my kids and their tool chest is just even bigger as young adults, being like, well, wait, when it gets a little hard, when there's a bump, when there's a roadmap,
Mm,
we know we can, you gotta live in it sometimes, right? But the
yeah.
future can just be completely unhooked in a beautiful
Yeah.
way.
Oh
So
my God. I love that so much, honestly. Like, how old are your children now?
they are 24, 23, and soon to be 21. And we're blended.
Wow.
So then we have a 19, an 18, and a 14. So it's
Oh
fun.
my goodness, that's amazing. I love
Yeah.
this. I literally just had a lady on Unsilence Grief who had six children, and I was absolutely amazed. And I'm like, here you go again, you know. So wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't plan on those
Donna,
college tuitions, but we're fine. It's going to be okay.
hey, you're the
So,
perfect person to talk to, right?
yeah, true.
I love this. Donna, if there are people listening right now that are in a situation where everything just seems to be falling apart
Mm.
financially and they don't even know where to start, because we both know, we all know that shortly after news like that, I want to put it that way,
Yeah.
the whole world seems to be falling apart, or the whole world seems to be sort of rushing around you while you're standing still. There are all these surreal moments where you're trying to make sense of it all and you don't even know where to get started. Is
Yeah.
there any way that you can highlight a bit of a pathway on what would be the very first steps to start understanding, making sense of financial situation, becoming financially savvy, reaching out to you? What would be the first step?
Yeah, I mean, I think in all honesty, we put out there so many of the resources of the book just free
Hmm.
or complimentary for people just to grab and download. And some of
Yeah,
those are, what are the first steps? What
yeah,
do you
perfect.
have to gather? How
Mm,
do you get organized? When
hmm.
we start getting organized or finding some of the paperwork that our spouse left behind, that also starts to kind of open the pages of the book, right? The chapters
Hmm.
start making sense. So a lot of it is just one, let's get ourselves organized. Let's find the main
Yeah.
paperwork. And
Mm,
two, what do we have to identify? What are the decisions we have to make so quickly? If you're here in the States, I always say pull a credit report, right? And start just to see where the accounts are. Go back
yeah.
into the banking accounts and the credit
Mm,
card. They will tell a story of where life
yeah.
insurance might be. When did you pay the premiums? Those types of situations, gathering passwords. Those are the
Mm,
things that just start you to make you feel like a little bit of I'm in control, right? You
mm,
sometimes you feel better in the midst of all that grief when you're just actioning one thing,
yeah.
right? And if what it is that you're actioning, I found the passwords. Hmm,
Mm,
I'm done, right?
yeah.
Like that's it for the day. But those
Amazing.
small things, but really just get organized, gather it up, and breathe. Like you don't have to do it all at once. I jumped in trying to get control of everything because it made me feel like I wasn't dealing with all the grief
Mm,
swirling around me because I was
yeah.
actioning, right? That's what led to my year two, uh-oh, right? Because I didn't let
Yeah.
it quote unquote catch up to me. But
Yeah.
so slowly gather, slowly pull things together, and you'll
Mm.
start to feel more in control. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really beautiful because you really ooze that, you know, that we can do this. I'll show you how. I'll take your hand. Here are the resources. It's absolutely beautiful. Um, Donna,
Mhm.
I have one last question for you. When you look back on that timeline, what do you feel was your biggest hidden gift in adversity that you got to utilize today?
Yeah. Uh, I think it was patience.
Mm,
Yeah. I run really quick and I make quick decisions in life with my kids, with everything, because I feel like the
mm,
next best moment is right ahead of us, right? Like we just can't stay stagnant. We got to keep going. And I realize that sometimes it's patience and it's sitting in the moment, which is the best. Yeah.
yeah. I'm having so many goosebumps here today. I
Yeah.
love your story, love listening to you, and I loved having you here. And for all our lovely listeners out there, we'll be sharing all the links in the show notes. So this is live, hence, if you're watching this live right now, you're not seeing anything yet. Give us half an hour, it'll all be there. So please come back and find Donna if this speaks to you and you really need support right now. Go on her website, we'll be sharing it. Donna, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you. This is Donna and Marie signing off. Bye for now.